Collins, Deputy Mattie McGrath.
Very good, Councillor. I too am glad to be able to speak to this motion here tonight. And informed consent is one of the fundamental principles undermining the ethics of medical practice. It is also a given that where possible the patient or person concerned should be adequately and appropriately informed, and in such a manner that the nature and gravity, not to mention the consequences of the procedure, are made clear to the person. This is an entirely acceptable and long-established medical principle, Minister, all over the world. Once again, our amendment reflects current UK practice. Indeed, the abortion provider, the British Pregnancy Advisory Service, BPAS, who gave evidence before the Joint Oireachtas Committee, clearly state all women currently attending an abortion service will have a discussion about their pregnancy options, their decision about whether to continue or to end the pregnancy, and in the latter case, their understanding of the available procedures and associated risks as part of the process of gaining informed consent. That's from BPAS. As BPAS also say, it is directly applicable here. Informed consent is entirely separate from, although often confused with the requirements in the Abortion Act for two doctors to certify that the woman meets the grounds for abortion. Totally different. The need for consent in healthcare is founded in common law and the principle of bodily autonomy. For consent to be valid and legal, it must be voluntary and informed, and the person consenting must have the capacity to make the decision. These principles apply to all medical procedures, including abortion. As explained by the NHS choices, these terms mean the following. Voluntary. The decision to either consent or not to consent to the treatment must be made by the person themselves and must not in any way be influenced by pressure from medical staff, friends or family. Informed. The person must be given all of the information in terms of what the treatment involves, including the benefits and risks, whether there are reasonable alternative treatments, and what will happen if the treatment doesn't go ahead. Capacity. The person must be capable of giving consent, which means that they understand the information given to them and they can use it to make an informed decision. The following are different countries' approaches on this issue, and there are many. In France, the physician must inform the woman about the risks involved and provide her with a guide to the rights and assistance provided by law to families, mothers and their children, as well as inform her of the possibilities for adoption should she decide not to terminate the pregnancy. You haven't addressed any of these, Minister, to us. In Belgium, the doctor must provide the woman with detailed information regarding the rights, assistance and benefits guaranteed by law to families, as well as regarding the possibilities offered by the adoption of the child. Assistance and advice on available resources to resolve the psychological and social problems posed by her situation must also be made available. I don't see that anywhere, Minister, in what you're offering here, even though we spent many hours at the programme for government talks trying to get perinatal hospice included. And some of you at the time didn't know what it meant. And it fell to my daughter to explain it to you, and Dr. Hartley actually. And we don't see that rolled out either. We're very, very limited. I want to also to reference the relationship between informed consent and abortion regret. This was absolutely clear during the Citizens' Assembly when the Abortion Regret Support Group, Women Hurt, they made the following points during their submission, which I want to again put on the record because it was completely ignored during the course of the referendum debate and has been the subject of mockery during this debate. Mockery was it called last week. How anyone with feelings like that, and people, I have met countless numbers of them, but they wouldn't listen to it at all. Didn't be called fakey and making up or delusional or notional. Terrible. And I had this here Deputy Chambers apologise, certainly under pressure from people, but I didn't hear other deputies who said it was notional and fictional. Withdraw their airy-fairy, withdraw their, and I'm sitting quite close to you now, Minister, I'm whispering to you. So I didn't, and I'd like to hear it because this is a disparaging remark, totally disparaging remark. And I quote, this is from the submission debate, "We are writing to you from Women Hurt, a group of women who have all experienced abortion. All experienced abortion. For us, it was the worst decision of our lives and something we deeply regret to this day. Nobody told us what the life after abortion would be like, or even what happens in an abortion. Today, nobody is talking about what will happen after abortion. All we hear about is the right to choose, but never anything about the actual abortion itself. If it's such a simple procedure with no drawbacks, why do we reluctant to discuss it? Deep down, we all know the answer why. Women Hurt are in touch with hundreds of women who deeply regret their abortions and have suffered the long-term after-effects, some for decades. And when I took a video, an animated video, 3-minute video, into that so-called health hearings, none of you wanted to see it. Not even look at it. An animated video. No, just hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Wouldn't even look at it. There's informed consent for the members of that committee, or informed information, not consent. You didn't want to see it. The published research in this area backs up the evidence that is clear from talking to women. There is a media-imposed wall of silence about openly discussing abortion regret. There's no question about that. Among almost all of the media focuses on the issue about building the case to justify legalised abortion. There is an unbelievable defensiveness about allowing calm and reasoned debate on the matter, where groups like Women Hurt can contribute without being verbally assaulted. It is devastating to think of all the women who suffer in silence after abortion, all because those pushing are determined to keep going regardless of the human cost in lives lost or undescribable human suffering that abortion causes. Here are some of our stories and experiences. We would gladly present an oral presentation to the Assembly, that was abortion regret people, if you intend facilitating such presentations. Lynn. I aborted my son Stephen on the 21st of September 1980. He would be 35 years old now had he lived. My employer coerced me into abortion, which they provided and paid for, giving me the choice in order to keep my job, my income, my home. I had a safe and legal abortion, travelling not more than 10 miles from my then home. In the age of equality, this was meant to make me equal to my male counterparts so that I could continue my career. What nonsense, or just a small paragraph. My male colleague could not become pregnant and therefore would never have to consider abortion. I was not given the facts, no counselling before or afterwards. I suffered from post-abortion trauma for a good 10 years before I fortunately stumbled across help. End quote.
Thank you, Deputy. Now,